Okay, hello and welcome to the video. My name is Wade Smith, and I am a black belt candidate, or first Q, or was a black belt candidate a very long time ago. But you don't forget all this stuff when you've done it for a long time. And this video is about the easy defense against a lapel grab or shoulder grab or collar grab, anything like that. For some reason, this is one of the most asked questions in self defense, and yet it's the most common situation. So you would think that it would be the easiest to answer. Somebody grabs you by the shoulder, maybe they're about to grab and throw a punch, or an overhand right, the overhand hammer fist, or it can be a good overhand right, or whatever they're going to do. Or maybe they're just intimidating you. Hey, good MF, this and that. All right. Notice how you have a blade of your hand here, and when your opponent is grabbing you here or here, you got to practice it both ways so you just instinctively do the right thing. You're going to grab across the blade of their hand, and you're going to turn it down and over at the same time, down and around and over all at the same time, and you're just going to twist on it like crazy and go into a reverse wrist lock. All right. There are, several basic forward-facing wrist locks, and they're usually the three of the first 8 to 10 moves that are taught in yellow belt submissions class in Ishinryu karate. There's a front wrist lock, which grabs across all four fingers or any combination of fingers. In street self-defense, we actually prefer 2 or 3 fingers, not 4 fingers. In MMA, you're required to grab all 4 fingers if you grab any. All right, because they don't want you breaking your opponent's fingers. In street self-defense, we want to break the attacker's fingers, so 3 is usually considered ideal. All right, and you're going to twist back and down at the same time. That's the front wrist lock, and they'll tap out or they'll yell or you'll break their wrists and their fingers at about the same time. All right, and then there's the full wrist lock, which we bend back and down at the same time, and usually you want to accompany this with knee strikes or kicks to the body and legs of the opponent, and they'll either tap out or yell or shout "I quit" or whatever. That's the full wrist lock. All right, and I haven't put this on myself in a long time. I see my arms are not as flexible as they used to be because that actually hurt my own self. All right, and then you got the reverse wrist lock, which you turn the person's arm over backwards like this, and you got pressure on the knife hand side of the finger of the hand, and your thumb is between their thumb and forefinger at the base right here. Although I can't turn my hand the correct way to show you that without a demonstration partner. All right, but your thumb goes where my bird finger is right now, and your index finger goes where my thumb is now. Okay, and you just twist and twist and twist until they either lose their arm or until they give up. All right, those are 3 of the most basic wrist locks. There's also a double cross arm wrist lock where you get your opponent like this, and you have a wrist lock on both of their hands. But that's a lot harder in a situation where to get on someone. Uh, Incidentally, I'm going to call him out again because he's BS. Ramsey Dewey was for the past 2 years saying that wrist locks don't work in fights, and then I called him out on it again the other day about a week ago, and then he called me a liar, and I called him a liar, and I said he asked why would I lie about that and say that he said something that he didn't say. He most certainly did say it, and I can actually pull up his own videos where he said it. But he claimed that wrist locks don't work. And then whenever I proved that they do work, he then suddenly changed what he was saying and then accused me of falsely accusing him anyway. So to hell with you, Ramsey Dewey. I just won't talk with you anymore. You know? But this video is about a lapel grab. So the way this normally would get used is a person might grab you or at the beginning of a fight and then go ahead and throw their right overhand, which is a typical starter for a fight. So there's a couple openings that you need to know to prevent that. First of all, you need to know the difference between a high angle block, a mid block, and a low block. But especially for this scenario, you need to know both a mid block in case it's the regular right overhand or a high overhand block in case it's the bad right overhand. And what a high overhand block is going to do is their attack is going to bounce off of your arm and go over to the side. Okay. But when they grab you, never let anybody grab you. Once they grab you, that is an escalation of a self. It's now a self defense scenario. All right, go ahead and put a lock on them, whether it's the front wrist lock, the full wrist lock rather, or whether it's the reverse wrist lock, or whatever you can get on them. Go ahead and lock their arm down and start throwing knee strikes and elbows to the face and whatever other strikes you can get off, because they do not have a right to touch you. If they're any closer than about a foot or two away from you without your permission, they are too close to you, and it's already a self defense situation. Understand? Because you don't have time to say, well, it's a self defense situation. Now I got to defend myself. Usually you're defending yourself before you even realize you're defending yourself. I know because I've been in a few of them. All right. So, never let anybody touch you. If a police officer searches you without a warrant, that's actually against the law. All right. If they search you or your property without a warrant, that's against the law, and you should get a lawyer, especially if they touch you in the groin while doing so, because you can make the claim that that's sexual harassment. Because they're supposed to have probable cause, and usually they're supposed to have a warrant before they search you or your property, according to the combination of the Third and Fourth Amendments of the U.S. Constitution. All right. If the person attacking you puts their hand on you, that is cause for escalation to self-defense. All right. It doesn't matter what they claim to be doing. It doesn't matter if they are just arguing with you and they touch you. It's a self-defense situation now. Go ahead and defend yourself as you see fit. Because you're not supposed to be putting your hands on another person without their permission. And if a judge wants to dispute that, you can get a lawyer and you'll win it in court anyway. The judge will be out of order, because you can always appeal to a higher court. First thing you're going to do is attack the weapon and the person's face. All right. So you're going to go into a wrist lock. In this case, I'm setting up for the full wrist lock on myself, but it would be more likely to be a reverse wrist lock on my opponent. Because, say, if they had grabbed me here, I'm going to palm heel them in the face as I reach across and go into a reverse wrist lock and knee strike into the their liver would be exposed. All right. And then they're gonna be like, well, is that excessive force? It doesn't matter. I'm not a police officer. I'm a person defending myself, and I can always claim that I was fearful for my life and safety. And that's all you have to do when you're defending yourself, is I was afraid for my physical life and limb, or I was afraid for the person that was with me, my friend, my girlfriend, or whoever. I was afraid for their safety, so I defended myself and them. All right. So the lapel grab is pretty easy to defend about. I don't know who's put this how to get out of a headlock or choke video online, but that does not work. If it was as simple as putting yourself in a full Nelson to get out of out of a choke, why don't they do it in the UFC? Silly. It actually, the best way to get out of it is to turn your head to the side and relax your knees and go down. All right. And then whenever you get on the ground, you can rotate to their weak side. You want to, if let's say they've got the choke on you this way, you want to rotate your neck into their hand, not their shoulder side. If you go to the shoulder side, what's going to happen is you're going to get trapped. All right. And they'll rotate around with you. If you go to the hand side, keep your neck as low as you can and go hand side, and then just go limp as a noodle. When you get on the ground, you can roll out of it. But you're not going to pressure point somebody out of putting a rear naked choke on you. That's silly. I don't know who thinks that that's believable, because it's not. All right. Thank God the only time I've ever been put in a rear naked choke in a street self defense situation, the person doing it didn't know what they were doing and did it wrong, and I got out of it eventually.